Today I will be looking at Softube's Drawmer S73 Intelligent Master Processor. This software models the Drawmer's 1973 3-band FET stereo compressor. However, the Drawmer S73 doesn't just model the analog sound of the original, but takes it a step further and incorporates a series of algorithms that apply some common processing techniques in mastering. Looking at the interface, we see these algorithms as a series of styles. They are organized in 3 groups: clean for mid and high frequencies, bass control and spatial. There is a brief but very useful description of the styles in the manual. As you can see, it is a very straightforward interface. At the top we have the VU meters. By the way, I've been told by Softube that 0 VU equals -9 dB RMS. The amount knob that functions as a threshold control, the gain reduction meter, an air switch to add high frequencies, a wet-dry mix control, very handy to apply parallel compression, and output gain control. You might have noticed that there are no controls over crossover frequencies for each of the 3 bands, or control of attack and release times. These are preset within the styles and the user has no direct control over them. However, and this is where the intelligent part of the plugin comes into play, the amount knob is a kind of super knob that changes many of the parameters under the hood in a coherent and useful way, although it does not take into account the source material. So first of all, let's have a quick listen using some extreme settings, so you can clearly hear the effect and the character of the Drawmer S73. Bear in mind, however, that according to Softube, to get the best out of this plugin, you shouldn't go above 4 or 5 dB in gain reduction in most of the styles. I will first play an unprocessed mix, and then I will apply some compression using some of the different styles. Then I will blend the processed audio with the original using the mix knob until all you hear is the wet or processed sound. And you will also see some text, which are Softube descriptions of some of the styles. It is interesting that the mix knob is set up differently from most wet-dry controls, where the dry signal is on the left and the wet signal is on the right. Here is the other way around, as it is on the original hardware unit. Of course, most of the time you'll be using less extreme settings, and ideally you'll be referencing other tracks while mixing or mastering. As with many compression plugins, one of the best ways of using the Drawmer S73 is by inserting several instances in the effects chain and then setting each one to do a different task. I have already set up some instances for some tracks, so I am going to activate the S73 plugins one at a time, and I will bypass the effects chain with the master check plugin for a quick A/B comparison. I will also use Isotope's Insight plugin to show a visual representation of the audio in real time. But first, let's have a listen to the unprocessed mix.
There he sits on his red toadstool, fishing rod, fishing in a pool. He don't move, just sits there all day.
So here we have a mix with quite a few issues. It lacks punch in the low end, and it would benefit from some gluing, some wider stereo image, ambience, some air in the top frequencies. So I am going to deal with these issues one at a time, and at the end of it I will make a level matched comparison between the effects chain being on and off.
There he sits on his red toadstool, fishing rod, fishing in a pool. He don't move, just sits there all day. Bright red hat, long white beard, pointy shoes, not very trendy. There he sits on his red toadstool, fishing rod, fishing in a pool. He don't move, just sits there all day. Bright red hat, long white beard, pointy shoes, not very trendy. There he sits on his red toadstool, fishing rod, fishing in a pool.
As well as processing whole mixes and being used at the mastering stage, the Drawmer S73 can also be used to process individual instrument or instruments subgroups like guitars or drums. Here I have a drum track that I have made using software drums. I am using the S73 in the drum bus to process the whole kit, to add some glue and some ambience mainly, and I will also try some parallel or New York compression to add some punch to the sound. First I will play the unprocessed loop, and then I will follow the same procedure as before with the plugins and the A/B comparison at the end. Finally, on an electric guitar bass, you can use the S73's D-Rumble preset to control the guitar's low frequencies so they don't muddle your mix, and at the same time with the air switch you can add some high frequency sparkle. A very quick and easy way to improve your guitar sound, especially in the metal genre. I think there's a definite improvement on these tracks after using the plugin. In terms of fixing issues in the mixes, it does help to an extent, but it won't necessarily completely fix any bad mixes you throw at it, as some of these examples show. It does have a nice sound character to it and makes it very easy adding punch to a mix or widening the stereo image. One thing to note is that the plugin is still processing the audio even when the amount knob is set to its minimum value. Another thing to mention is that there is always a risk of generating artifacts when using several plugins in series. However, I haven't noticed any obvious issues in my tests, but it's something you should watch out for. The simplicity of the plugin is probably its biggest strength or its biggest weakness, depending on how you look at it. As I have mentioned before, there is no direct control over the crossover frequencies or the attack and release times for each band. Other controls that would be nice to have would be an input gain control and the possibility of changing the reference level for the VU meters. And why not an integrated level matching feature within the plugin for A/B comparisons. Overall, I think the S73 is great at processing sound, and it's very good value for money. The interface has been designed to help those who perhaps don't feel confident about mastering, or those who want fast results with good sound quality. It is a plugin that has many uses, not just for mastering, but also in the stereo mix bus, instrument subgroups, single instruments, FX return tracks, and sample processing. Sure, it does not provide a lot of control, but it is clear that the emphasis here is on fast workflow and on being user-friendly. For those who want more control, Softube has just released the Drawmer 1973 multiband compressor, which offers all the parameters of the original. In case you are wondering, the two plugins are not exactly the same, apart from the obvious interface differences. The S73 includes the intelligent amount knob I mentioned earlier, and also some other filter settings like the air filter. And that's all for today. See you later.